everybody. It's Marlene with Miami Ghost Chronicles, Stories of the Supernatural. How are you all doing? Happy Eclipse Day. And you might ask yourself why I'm dressed like this. Question is very good because I'm just doing some filming for something for Halloween, even though it's August, but it's going to get produced for towards the end of October. So that's why I'm in this getup. But anyway, today I have a paranormal group out of Virginia. Their name is C Paranormal, and they specialize in hauntings and demonic related cases. And I'm not even going to try to introduce them all and all they do. I'm going to bring them on and they're going to take care of that. So, hey guys, how are you all doing tonight?
Howdy.
Okay, let me put my glasses so I can actually see what I'm doing. Okay, so like I said, guys, go ahead and introduce yourselves and offer whatever information you want about yourselves.
We are CNC Paranormal Investigations. My name is Carl Lawhead.
I'm Paris.
I'm Andy Andrews.
I'm Paula Davis.
I'm Jennifer Kennedy.
And the investigator that is yet to come, she'll be about 8:30. Her name is Danielle Martin.
Okay.
She's running a little bit late. She was getting out of college.
Understandable. Guys, I'm going to ask you all, and you chime in at whatever order you like, and I ask this of everybody. How did you all get into the paranormal? I mean, some people had childhood experiences, others don't have something to their adults. How did you guys get into this field?
Go ahead.
Childhood. Had something around probably 4 to 5 years old. I started having a little bit of experiences and carried it from there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very faith-based, and so I do a lot of the demonology work for us.
Okay.
And into the paranormal by just experiencing things, and then meeting Carl 20 plus years ago, and us just doing it for fun to begin with, actually.
Okay. Yeah, that's how a lot of groups get started, and then it takes off on its own. So who's next?
Paula.
I'll go next. Childhood, it's been a lifelong interest for me since I was a kid. I've been brought up on horror movies, ghost stories, so it's just sort of been interest. I'm also an occult practitioner, so it kind of ties hand in hand with what I do.
Okay.
So
Hey.
pretty much.
And
Yeah.
so let me ask you, when you say, and I ask this because sometimes as kids, it's, you're kind of stuck because you're in a certain house that there's something there and, you don't have the power to move away. And then there's other times where basically you're sensitive, and then even though you move to another house, you start experiencing things there. Do any of you guys fall into that?
Yes, that's me.
That's you.
I'm psychic and sensitive, and I have been since I was a little kid.
Okay.
And it's like every house I've ever lived in is haunted. It's like they're attracted to me.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. Yeah, that doesn't matter where you go. There you are. Okay.
No matter where I go.
Exactly. So who's back there?
Yes.
Me? I had an interest in it. My grandfather is also the starter of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I just got
I'm her grandfather.
Yeah.
I'm her Dee Dee. She got into it through me.
I've
Okay.
just been really interested in it, and I just started becoming an active member. So
Okay, great. So you have a built-in mentor. That's great.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like,
So,
let me tell you-
I started the group back in 2000.
Okay.
With Chuck Heffin and Brandon Blum. Now, I grew up in Fredericksburg, so I was surrounded by ghosts all my life.
Okay.
When my parents died, before they had passed away, they promised they would come back. And lo and behold, to this day, they always come back. So that originally sparked my interest in why spirits come back, trying to find out things like that.
Okay.
Can we pass them? Can we help them? Can we help the living? So in 2000, when Chuck, Brandon, and I were talking in the break room at Rubbermaid,
Okay.
we decided to start it up as just trying to find things out. Then it turned out to be fun, so we kept it going.
Okay.
And over the years, we built up our equipment, built up our knowledge, our experience.
Yes.
And here we are today,
And that,
different faces. The only one that's original is me. So,
I mean,
you know,
I've been there, done that. Been there, done that. Let me tell you.
I've
The thing
a
is
lot of
that the shows don't account for all the boring times that you're like, you know.
oh no, yes. And that's what a lot of the public sees. They just
Yes.
see TV. So they
Yes.
think go into these investigations and it's like boom, boom, boom all over the place.
Yeah.
Yes.
When 99.9% of the times it's thumb twiddling time because nothing's going on.
Well, they don't see what it takes to pull out all the wires and hook
Oh,
up the
Lord.
cameras
Yes.
and goes into that. That's a that's a
Or
lot.
And
or
then-
the best part is after the investigation when everybody's really
Yeah.
tired and you got to
Yeah.
pick everything up.
Yeah.
Listening to the EVPs and watching
And
the video.
yes.
That's
Yes.
good.
Yep.
Mhm.
You know, and in these shows, you've got like a million people there that can, sit there and listen for all this stuff.
Right.
And let me tell you, that's very time consuming, very and boring, unless you
It
might.
is. So
So,
my main theory is about our posting of information that we find.
mm-hmm.
The past few years, we've been doing nothing but private clients.
Okay.
So that is the information because of privacy. We do not post anywhere. We don't ask for outside opinions on it because a lot of our clients do not want other people to know.
Let me tell you, I know exactly, and I've said it before, because I've had clients that usually they even come through me like third party, like somebody that says, "Oh, don't worry, she's you don't have to worry about this getting out," because people,
Right.
believe it or not, contrary to what everybody thinks in reality shows, especially if something
Yes.
really is truly going on, they do not want anybody. They don't even want their neighbors to know.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know exactly what
Exactly.
you mean. Yes, and confidentiality. It's almost like a referral system. Like, let's say if you're a plumber, you get word of mouth.
Exactly.
Same thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, I
So
know
we-
exactly what you mean. That it's
we
underrated,
were-
but
And ever since I brought these two in, Paula and Jennifer,
mm-hmm.
we have really honed our skills combined into one to where
Okay.
we're actually doing a lot of good, passing over trapped spirits.
Okay, yes.
We have started taking on demonic cases. As you see on our website, we
Yes.
are now affiliated with the Order of Exorcists.
Right, yeah, I saw that.
So we went from having a good time investigating to we're not hobbyist ghost hunters.
Exactly.
There is meaning behind all of our work now, and we hope to bring some of the fun back by starting to do more public locations where we
Right.
can include the public.
Mm-hmm.
But as of right now, we have a lot on our plate with the private stuff. And
So in other words, you're the kind of group that if you go into an investigation, and yeah, you do discover, yes, there is something here that's supernatural, you just don't say, well, yeah, you're right, bye. You kind of help them solve it.
no,
We don't do that at all.
we either get rid of it, pass it over, and we don't stop until it's done.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Because there are groups out there that's all they do. They go and confirm,
Oh, yeah.
and then they go, well, good luck, bye.
Clients to come to us, it's like, oh, we have this other group come in and they
Yes.
did their investigation and then that was it. And,
Yeah.
they didn't help. And
No
that's,
help.
Yeah.
That's one of the things one of the primary reasons that I sought to join a group is because I wanted to use my gifts and my abilities to help people.
I had a group that I
course,
worked
of
with.
course.
Project.
And especially when you find a really truly authentic case, and I'm not even saying to the level of being a demonic. I'm just saying that you really truly find that they've got some type of intelligent haunting going on, and they don't want it, because that's another thing. Sometimes you find people that, contrary to the good advice I give them, they're like, "Oh, it's okay. He can stay or she can stay." And I'm like, "Are you sure about that?" And
Yeah.
inevitably that goes sideways sooner or later.
Bottom line is it's not healthy for the spirits
It's
to
not.
be here.
It's not.
When they pass, they need to pass over.
Yes.
They don't need to be here.
Exactly. And
And it's,
I'm glad you brought that
it-
up.
it's almost like our responsibility when we chose to do this to help out the living and the dead.
Exactly.
Exactly.
You know,
And a lot of
not
people
just
don't see that just because you're dead, they're saying, oh, well, like some of
yeah,
these that you see where, let's say, for example, it was the old owner. And oh, it's his house. It's like, no, it's not his house. When he was living, he needed a house, but he's dead now. He doesn't need a house. And it's all ego driven, and they're stuck or don't want to leave for whatever reason. But this, him wanting to stay in a house and probably kick you guys out is not good for the soul either. Plus, it's driving you crazy.
right.
So yeah, I'm glad you made that point.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
Actually, just talking on that point, we usually meet at a local restaurant up here,
Mm-hmm.
and after paying 15 minutes ago, had a woman come up and ask, because we all have our CNC, shirts on,
Right.
if it was, are you guys for real? And I was like, yes, ma'am. And I was like, are you having some issues or whatnot?
Okay.
And she said, yeah. She said, I have my dead husband still at the house.
Oh,
And
she even
I
know.
said,
It's like you don't even have to identify. I'll tell you who it is. That's great.
so I'm like, okay, well, what do you want us? What would you like us to do? I explained to her that we don't ask for any kind of pay,
Right.
anything like. We come in and I would think that she would want to move him on.
Yes.
Out and says, well, he's doing a lot of things to irritate the hell out of me. And if you could just talk to him about it and tell him to quit, I don't mind that he's
Really,
there.
like, okay. Uh-huh.
So it was pretty funny to a point, but then we started talking about a little bit more serious of why he's there, what happened,
Uh-huh.
and her and I both have a couple things in common when it comes to that, and so hopefully we'll get a call from her and we can explain more of what we were just talking about getting him to pass over and and to move on, to show him the light, whatever it may be. So we're
Yes.
hoping to hear back from that, but that's just really funny that just happened and we're talking about it.
Yes,
So,
exactly. And people don't have a hard time. It's like, wherever, there's no matter, like, okay, so you were married to him. It's like, yeah, he needs to move on. It's better for him. Plus,
Exactly.
and I know sometimes, especially when it's a spouse or a family member and people are distraught, they don't want to see that. They just want to either have that person close or they just feel sorry for that person.
Right.
But you know
Yeah.
what? It's not good. It's not good for them, their soul. You're basically
That-
trapping them.
I was trying to explain that to her, and just time was kind of getting out of hand. So,
Yeah, I know. Yes,
yeah.
I've
but I tried speaking to her about it.
yeah,
And,
I've gone
so
to investigations where they when you get there, basically what they want is for you to confirm and identify them. And then when you say,
Exactly.
"Well, what do you want?" "Oh, no, it's okay." And I'm like, "You sure?" "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. Call me if you
Yeah.
need it." And they sure enough they do
Yeah.
eventually.
And sometimes that's how you have to leave it.
Yes.
If they don't want it to go.
Yes.
Like, for instance, the building we're in now,
Okay.
it's a hair salon, and it is haunted.
Okay.
We've investigated this, and she actually lets us use the cabin anytime we need it. She's a good client.
Okay.
We stay pretty close with her, but she does not want us to pass these spirits over. So we have to respect her wishes
Sure.
because she's letting us come into her place.
Of course, you're
When-
not going to. But you know that at some point, sometimes they kind of do it on their own if they can. Sometimes
Yeah.
something does precipitate it, and there's a different whole set of circumstances. But it's a lot easier when you have somebody kind of like escort them out, like, hey, that's the way out, that way.
Yep,
right.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yes. So and I heard what you said that, you basically started as, the basic ghost investigation. And I want to
Yeah.
hear how you got into the demon stuff. And by this, I'm gonna be clear up front. I think that word is overused. Okay.
It is.
It is.
It is.
And
I
I'm
just know
gonna
how
it's hyped up because it really should only be used for the truly serious cases where it really is.
Yes. Yes.
How did you guys fall into one of those?
Oh, wow. I was approached. Well, I had befriended Reverend Michael, who was on our page.
Okay.
That he has having problems finding groups to help him handle exorcism cases in Maryland.
Okay.
And he said, after reading our Facebook page, he's seen that we are not just state limited. Oops, sorry. That we go out of state to help people.
Okay.
So he asked if I would be interested in bringing the group in to help him.
Wow.
So that was basically our stepping stone. And then once we got the whole team on board with that, we started helping the spirits passing over. And we've just been going forward ever since.
Okay. And you answered because I was wondering, was it something like this, or was it one where you went into an investigation thinking, oh, it's just a regular human entity, and then it turned into, ta-da, So in other words,
Yeah.
when you went in there,
Yeah.
you already knew when you were going in from the get-go that, let me ask you something. Does he, or does that order, do they ask you to determine if it's demonic, or once they send you in, they've already told you, okay, we know it is?
What our job is to do is just to go in and document
Okay.
get everything and send it to the Archbishop.
Oh,
He
okay.
deems whether it's demonic or malevolent or whatever anybody wants to call it.
Mm-hmm.
He handles it. So
Based on
It's just our-
what observations you guys send them.
right.
Okay.
What do we send him? Is that what you asked?
Right. That, in other words, he makes that determination. You're his eyes and his ears, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
You guys don't really do any type of, how can I say, intervention, in the sense of all you're there is to firsthand look, observe, and record, and turn it over to him, so that then
Ask
he
questions.
figures
Yeah,
out what's really there.
Make sure all the proper documentation, like medical records,
Right.
psychological evaluations, all that stuff is gathered. And then if it's deemed severe enough that an exorcism is ordered,
Okay.
then we go in and assist with them.
With him. Okay. All right.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to ask this because I got to ask this. Have you ever gone into one of these, one of these like initial visits, okay, and that you've determined that there is something demonic there, and the person that is being affected or oppressed acts out? Because I know a lot of times they don't even wait for the actual religious figure to get there.
Yes. Now, it's a private case, so we
Okay.
have to heel
No.
toe around names or anything.
Sure,
But
sure. I understand.
Paula and I and Danielle did a case
In Martinsburg.
in Martinsburg
Okay.
Oh boy.
that we just thought it was a haunting. So we go in unprepared, and turned out that Paula had a good fight with this thing.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
It was pretty nasty. It was attached to this one girl, attacked Paula.
Wow.
Paula finally got it out through a good battle.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So
in other words,
so-
you got more than you bargained for when you went in there, just to
Yeah.
yeah, just
Yeah.
to find out what was in there,
Boy, I'll say we
because
did.
that's how we start. We go, we try to
Oh,
find
yeah.
out what it is, and then the group gets together and we decipher which means we need to do to
Right.
help them,
okay.
which route to take.
Okay.
And this thing didn't let us waste time. It acted up while we were there.
Oh yeah.
So-
Sure.
Paula just went into attack mode and took it down.
Let me tell you something. It's almost like when you see that type of behavior or that type of response, it's almost like a clear sign. Okay, I'm on the right track. This is more than maybe just a regular haunting of a human entity, because of the
Right.
way it's reacting. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because normally, you'll have some entities, I'm talking human ones, ghosts, whatever, an intelligent one. You have the ones who kind of like try to disappear and like make themselves scarce until you leave. Like, okay, they'll be gone soon. And then you have the
Yeah,
other
we
ones, and they're depending on what type of person they were when they were alive, you get varying degrees of communication or feelings about them. But I imagine that if you're talking something that's authentically demonic, they're not really scared, and
No.
they're not.
Also, that we've noticed that in the demonic cases, several of us will actually have things happen in our own homes.
Oh
leading
yes, yes, yes.
Prior to the, I mean, it could be it could be even a week
Yeah.
before we know we got a
Yes, oh my
Yeah.
God, I'm so glad you brought that up. Because I say that all the time. I say, you know what? Anybody that's a seasoned paranormal investigator, okay, will have things starting to happen. And sometimes that even has to be demonic, to be honest with you. But we'll have
Right.
things start happening either a week before you go, or sometimes even before you actually know of the case. Okay?
Yep.
That's little weird things in your life. And then when you think back in hindsight, you go, oh, but then, yeah, things will start happening. It's, of course, because they don't see time linear the way we do. And
Yes.
they're ahead of the curve. And yes, absolutely. Anybody who's done this, as a matter of fact, I say this is one of my hallmarks when I know that I'm dealing with an intelligent entity, intelligent haunting, is that it's some things, not all the time, but things sometimes start happening at where I live at days before I get there. So I'm
Right.
glad you brought that up. That's a very
Yeah.
good explanation for that.
Yeah, and it freaks you out because you're like, what the heck's going on? You know?
Yeah.
And then a day or two later, you're like, oh, okay.
Yes, exactly. And that's exactly, and I know, well, let me ask you, and well, you just pointed out that sometimes before you actually get into the case, things will start happening. How about after
Yes.
the fact? Have any of you had any
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
experiences?
Yeah.
Like what?
Oh, yeah, they hang around, buddy.
Yes.
Because they're trying to get back at you for getting rid of them or
Yes.
even coming after them in the first place.
Yes.
They retaliate.
The legit demonic cases require more than just one visit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
Yes.
that's another reason why.
it's a process.
Yeah, most of
Right.
the time we go 3, 4 times, depending on
Yeah.
when Reverend Mike feels better, or when he thinks things are done. Like I said, with the study in demonology I've done,
Mhm.
5, 6 times I've been places. And it's just you're weakening it, you weaken it, and you're really leaving in between the times that you are able to go,
Right.
and you leave it in the hands of the client to do work as well for themselves.
Plus, sometimes there's more
And-
than one, right?
Right.
Yeah. And it really depends on how much they put into it when you're not there to protect themselves or to get this thing
Yes.
off of, or however you want to look at it.
Yes.
Depends on how many times you have to go back and visit. I mean, I've been 6, 7 times to the same place and come home and have headaches the next day.
Oh, yeah.
Just
She did
different
authorize us
things.
to talk about her
I've had
case. You
both
wanna bring that
physical
up?
and
Okay, yeah.
physical and things happening in the house. And but it's all about when you leave
Because it's
there
gone.
and your
She's a goat,
cleansings
it doesn't bother her.
that you do for yourself and the team once you get done. That's very important. I've seen too many teams go in, investigate, leave, not hey, see you tomorrow, and there's no cleansing afterwards.
Oh no! Not. It doesn't even have to be something like that. You have to not. I mean, go around the corner, even if you have to drive around the corner and start cleansing yourself and your car and everything. That's like from the get-go, on any type of case, and that's what I personally would do.
Darlene's up. Tells us the story.
What's that?
I'm sorry, what?
Case.
Oh, I was talking to Jennifer.
Yeah. She is a case.
We do have one case that the client has given me permission to talk about with anybody.
Okay.
So Paul is the one who handled that, Paul and Andy. So I'm going to let them explain to you what happened
Okay.
because I was out of town, so I wasn't able to make it to this one.
That's how I
Okay.
met these guys, was because of this
Huh?
case. Casey's case.
True, right?
Yeah, and that was a case that it took a period of about a couple of months. It took about 3 or 4 visits, plus me having a very unfortunate accident and breaking my arm. But yeah, that was
Remember that?
Okay, yeah.
that was an interesting case that involved, not only did it involve the paranormal, but it involved drug use as well on the part
Yes.
of the client neighbor.
I'm going to the restroom, sorry.
Oh, that's all right.
Yeah, it started out.
I'm going to try to.
Squeeze by.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, we had another guy that was
Yeah, sorry, Jen.
that was on our team with us, that does things with us when he can.
Right.
And the situation started out to where they called us. Pretty much, they were saying that it was a possession, I guess, of the property.
Okay.
But also the neighbors down the street were getting affected by it, and they had I think she was what, 15 years old,
No, her daughter.
and
Yeah,
couldn't
her
even,
daughter.
was very active in the church, and it got to the point to where she couldn't even, they would try to take her to youth group, and as she
Right.
was trying to go in to the church, she would get so sick, get so paranoid. I mean, it got to the point that they actually even sent her to relatives miles and miles, hours away
Mhm.
to
Okay.
get her away, and
That she was in the hospital too. They
So,
took her to the hospital.
yeah, in the hospital a few times because of it. Just things happening to her that were unexplainable. No doctor could really figure it out.
Right.
So I go down, and the guy, and come to find out, the gentleman that went with me was actually the cousin of them, the one that
Oh.
helped us out, Corey.
Okay.
Corey.
And we get there, and just to say some of the things, this is kind of like what you run into.
Oh,
We didn't even get out of the car yet, and the gal comes out of the house, and she's yelling, "Do you see the witches above your car?"
Oh
And
my God.
are they flying through? Yeah, that was in
they're
her
flying
house,
through the
and
air.
She was like, and look, there's demons throwing rocks at me, and there's giraffes. Do you see the giraffes and elephants in the backyard? And I'm like,
yeah, it was.
uh,
The thing was, you really didn't have. That was obviously where the drug usage was.
yeah.
But the little girl,
Yeah.
15, the young gal, she was actually really being affected by something
Oh, sure.
that I really
Absolutely.
think what it was.
Well, the son of Missy was coming over because they were the same age.
Right.
And he was going over to hang out with the teenage daughter, and we think he was bringing some of that influence over to
to
the
her
daughter-
place.
Yeah, to the girl's house.
But it was also, I think there was a portal there, right? That
There
you
was
found.
a portal. Yeah, there was an
And
issue with the portal.
So the
But
drug
it was-
use
yeah.
really just, believe it or not, it weakened them, but
Okay.
it strengthened was the
Yeah.
paranormal.
Right. And
Yeah.
and you
And-
find that's pretty common that the drug
Yeah.
use, it does, that's pretty bad. It opens the doorway for a lot of really evil entities and attachments.
This
It's-
was one
Yeah.
we almost had to get the law involved in. Carl and I were talking about getting the sheriff involved because there was a lot of concern for their teenage son.
For their son, yeah.
Because of the drug use, and it was a really sticky case. There was so much involved psychologically, drug
Yes.
use. It was
Right.
it was a mess. But it
Right.
did have a happy end.
It did.
So-
Yeah, it
Good.
comes back. The couple the drug users. I guess that he probably finally lost it. They had
They were
a
evicted.
legal situation happen. They were evicted,
Okay.
and the faith and the strength of the young girl's parents and herself as
Yeah.
well.
I had to teach them how to do I taught them how to do cleansing and how to keep their
Okay,
property
great,
and their
great.
houses cleansed.
Fantastic.
And she did
everything's
everything.
going great
Yeah,
for 'em,
everything was
yeah.
great. They found their faith. They're back in church. They just got baptized here not too long
Yeah.
ago, and she's back in school again. She was even out of school because her behavior was so erratic with everything going on. They took
Really?
her out of school.
Yeah,
That's
I
how bad it
imagine.
was.
Yes, I've
So-
seen. Believe it or not, I've seen that happened.
And
I've seen that happen
That was
before.
demonic. I think it was more just bad. I mean, I don't know.
It was a combination of a
Yeah.
lot of things, but I did a blessing on their house, their property.
So did I.
And we, showed them how to what I call psychic hygiene.
Yes.
And they did. They maintained it every single day, and once they did, they got their house and their land and their space back, and they brought their peace back and everything else. And I wound up going across the street to Missy's and doing some work over there, and what I could do while they were still there, but it turned out to be pretty successful in the end. It was-
That's great.
it
That
was
is
a- it was a
fantastic to
case.
hear that. I'd love
Yeah.
to hear those, those type of outcomes, because in truth, sometimes it doesn't turn out that way, especially if there's drugs involved. So,
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yes.
And that's what makes it well worth it for me, at least. I'm sure for all of us. And that's the big thing with this group is I noticed that we all are going for the same common goal with this,
Okay.
and that is to go out and to to just give. I mean, we've had cases, or I have had cases, where there's small children involved. There's
Yeah.
somebody, the boogeyman's in the closet, and
Mm-hmm.
come to find out, it really is something that's lurking in the closet,
Right.
and it might not be
Exactly.
any. It might not be anything other than just, that, like you said, the old homeowner. I've had it where I found out that the kid was actually psychic medium abilities,
Yes.
and
And there's.
spirits catch on to that. They're like, oh, you can hear me, I'm here, and they're gonna
Yep.
just flood you. I'm sure Jennifer's got, and so yeah, but we all do it for the common, the same common thing is just to help people out and to hopefully give them a little bit of their life back, because it does suck away
Oh yeah.
all
Especially.
kinds of stuff, your happiness, your finances, I
It
mean,
destroys
everything.
families.
Yes.
We've seen
Absolutely.
families become destroyed because of this. I mean, it's terrible.
Well, like Andy said, like if the homeowner is still there, they might not like the family that's living in it, so they might act out. They might like do things to distract them and not really harm them, but like
Try to push them out.
try to push them out so that they can have the house themselves.
Yes. Yes.
I've been through that. so
Exactly.
I know about that.
I mean, there's a lot of different ways of that playing out.
Yeah.
And let me ask you right now, and I'm going to ask this because, of course, the D word, demonic, is, like I said, it's too overused. Of all the cases, I know that you're being basically being referred by this order of Saint Michael, right? Uh, of all the times you go out there, how often do you verify that it is an authentic demonic case, or is it just either mental illness or just a regular, maybe haunting with a human entity? How often do you actually find that it's truly demonic?
Well, we are fairly new to the
Okay.
order. We've
Okay.
only had few cases brought to us,
Okay.
and the first one we could never get the clients to contact us.
No surprise
It would,
there.
yeah, it would be so surprised, and it got so bad that Reverend Michael said that a lot of times this is what happens.
Yes.
They contact you initially, and
Yes.
then they back out of it.
Yes.
And
Or they say it's so bad and like they want help, but then they don't contact you months
Yeah.
and months, and you're like, you said you needed help, but
Yes.
you also say you don't contact us back.
yeah.
Yes.
So, and the second one, we went in, we did what we had to do, but the client he decided to drop it because we wouldn't bend our investigation to his liking. Does that make sense?
What was that? You guys wouldn't what?
He canceled any more help from
Right.
us because we wouldn't adjust our schedule to his the way he liked it.
Okay, all right. That's okay. That's called that's an excuse. That's yeah, okay. That's like basically
Yeah,
blaming
and-
you guys for something that it was all really about him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Now there is definitely something there
Yes.
of that
There's definitely-
magnitude.
Yes.
But I don't know what happened with it. It's one of those cases that just fell through the cracks in the floor.
What?
Nothing we did was good enough for him.
No.
Okay.
And
He
That's
He wanted us to do the investigation and then like right after help him with it. And it's not always that easy. You have to go over the evidence. You have to work with the
Right.
Archbishop. You have to do that kind of things to work
He
up
didn't wanna
to.
wait.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
It's
he
like
didn't
they
wanna
wanted
wait.
results immediately.
And we
Right.
Yeah.
we explained to him as well as Reverend Michael did that all we were there for is documentation.
Exactly.
We're not there to actually get rid of things for him. We were just there to document for the bishop.
We were getting
And
Exactly.
that wasn't good enough for him. He was like, well, he started telling Reverend Michael, well, your psychic said this, your investigators said this, that they would come out and they would get rid of this thing
He didn't know.
before, yeah.
He didn't know any of us were psychic. We didn't tell him that so that he wouldn't like get feed off of it basically.
And you know
So-
what I found in a lot of these cases, I'm not going to say it, in a lot of people, that there's sometimes there is mental health problems, okay?
Yeah,
Or
definitely.
mood disorders.
Can I,
Yes.
let me introduce you to Danielle Martin.
Hi.
She finally made it.
Right.
And
Um,
you know, a lot of people think that it's an either or. Either yeah, there's demonic influence, whatever you want to call it, or mental health. And I'm like, no, you can have both. You can have somebody with mental health who this influence is making that person worse. You know, so you can't have both. But yeah, when they start doing stuff like that, it makes you wonder, okay, what's the source of this? Is it that this person has got something going on with them, you know, in their brain or their psychologically, or
Right.
is it, you know, the interference of a demonic presence? But bottom line,
Exactly.
you know, you can't force somebody to.
Well, through all my classes and studies, demons prey on the weak.
Yes.
You know,
That's what I'm
they
gonna say.
go after people with
Yeah.
mental issues. They go after people that
Yes.
are depressed.
Yes.
You know, drug users. I mean, that's their easy way in,
They can
Absolutely.
feed
and
off
then
of
they
it,
work from
basically.
that. You know,
It's
And,
easier to
um,
wear people like
so
that
yeah,
down.
you're
Feed off
absolutely
the-
right. They could have mental illness to begin with,
Yes.
and they get an attachment that feeds off that, knows it can use it, and then you know these doctors out here only want to look. You know,
Right. Exactly.
they want to feed them something, you know, to take, and you know, or they want to just diagnose them, and they don't want to look at it as actually being maybe something spiritual, you know, something
Yeah.
that's
I mean, you
an
can't-
attachment.
You can't treat it both ways. You can treat it with medicine, like if they need some type of medication, but you can also look at the spiritual part in the sense of that there is some type of spiritual influence. And I mean, I've seen it sometimes where the person, let's say they're supposed to take medicine or you know some type of daily medication, you know, and what
Right.
happens is that this interference will, you know, they don't take their medicine. They're not cooperative with people. Their families are trying to take care of them. In other words, it just becomes so difficult to deal with. And you could say, well, it's all, and I go, no, it's like they're getting an extra, you know, almost trying to keep them ill, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
So, you know, and
Yeah,
the reason why I say this is that everybody thinks that sometimes when you get into something like demonic, it has to be like what you see Hollywood with people doing all this weird, like whatever. And a lot of times
Well,
it's very harmful, but a lot
one of
more
the
subtle.
signs- I'm sorry.
It's okay. Go ahead.
Go. One of the first signs that this thing was starting, the case was starting to go awry, is the fact that he would never send us the medical or psychological evals that he said he had.
Oh, there you go.
So,
Yes.
and I emailed him probably a good 15 times, and I never got anything.
Yeah, you know why, right? Because there was something there
Because
that
you
you
didn't
had
have
us.
So,
Yeah, of course. Of course. Of course. And you have to understand, think about it also, is that you guys, you know, you're doing this from either from the ghost hunting aspect or on behalf of this order, but you guys are not there to handle somebody with mental health problems. You know what I'm saying? And in a way, he knows that, oh, if they see this, they're going to be like, what? No, thanks. No, I'm sorry, sir.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, that's unfortunately some of the games they play. So, yeah.
right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
like I said, just a very good friend. him and I played in a band together for like 10 years. God never did. You know, we'd be playing at a club. He'd never drink any alcohol, nothing.
Right.
And he starts telling me, comes to me, and he says, I have these voices that are telling me, you know, literally he was right in the middle of a concert with his new band. And
Okay.
this thing was telling him, you know, get off the stage or I'm going to kill you. You know, I mean, really
Ooh.
just evil stuff. And so
That's
he
not
goes,
good.
gets evaluated. They say he's schizophrenic. You know, that's the first thing they come off with.
Yep.
And I could see that, you know, a little bit. But the thing was, this thing was telling him not to take his meds.
There you go. Yeah.
And he would go through a week or two, and he'd be just, you know, fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd get a call, come over and pray for me. And I'd get over there, and he would be, I mean, totally off his rocker. I mean, I don't mean to say it any other way than that, but
Yeah, that's pretty accurate though.
yeah. And I'm like, well, what's going on? You know, you know, your med's not working. Oh, well, no, I was actually, you know, he said, I heard from God, and he told me not to take my meds.
And it makes you wonder, like, why would God tell you this? You know, of all things, God. Yeah.
Exactly, you know. And
Right.
if you have a relationship with him, you should already be somewhat, you know, on your
Yes.
way to being healed anyway.
Yes.
And but the thing was, this thing was just playing with him like that. And so that was a good, you know, example of, you know, he needed to be on his meds to be able to really deal with what was going on, because
Right.
it straightened him out a little bit, you know, enough to be of sound mind to know that he was getting attacked spiritually as well. And so, you know, I've done a lot of work with him, and it seems to be doing good. But
Good.
he's still, to this day, I'll get a call, and he's been 2 days off his meds because something, you know, that he felt was, you know, not demonic or not of, you know,
Right.
bad intentions, was telling him not to take meds. So we run into that a lot. You know, these people,
Yes.
you know, they don't want you to know that there is a mental issue. But the thing is, we're not, like she said, we're not therapists.
No.
No, you're
And,
not.
you know,
Or
we're
you can
there.
pay us for an hour, I'll take it. You
Right. But the thing is, you know, we need that person to do what they need to do to help
Oh,
themselves,
sure.
and let us do what we do and what we're, you know, versed in to be able to try to help them like that.
Right. That's
And,
that's where the rub comes in. That
Right.
they, you know, it's like, you know, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? You know, is it the mental health or is it the demonic, you know, influence? I was like, yeah, those cases are very difficult in and of themselves.
Yeah.
We had to.
Now, let me ask you, have you guys, well, I know that you said, you know, you're doing the demonic cases because, you know, because the bishop is asking you to do. Have you ever run across, previous to this, have you ever run across a case that you thought was a regular haunting and the entity was just so, evil is a good word because there's a lot of human beings that they were evil when they were alive, and when they're dead, they're just as bad. That you ran across that you were like, what is this?
Oh yeah. The first case we talked to you about
Okay.
in Martinsburg, that was one of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
CNC's very first client here in Strasbourg, is her house is smack dab in the middle of what used to be an old Civil War fort.
Wow.
So we've been investigating this house for a good 17, 18 years.
Okay.
And,
Yeah,
Darlene's.
I know.
So one night she called me and said activity was going. She was doing a video and it showed some sweet ectoplasm just moving across the room. So I called Jennifer and I'm like, Jennifer, there's activity at our client's house. You want to go? So she met me up there.
Okay.
See, that's all. I knew nothing about this client, nothing about the house, nothing. That's all I had to go on.
Okay.
So we go there and she doesn't even make it 5 minutes and she's got to leave.
Yeah.
I'll let you tell her.
That I'm getting chills just even thinking about it.
Mm.
That there is something very old, like it showed itself to me. It's definitely demonic.
Something that,
One of the
that, in other words, is not a Civil War thing.
No, no, no.
No.
This was purely demonic.
Wow.
And I've encountered malevolent entities and,
Mhm.
and other demonic entities, and I've never felt anything that felt as evil and angry and just negative as I
Wow.
felt with this thing.
Okay.
And there were other entities there.
Okay.
And the sad thing is she wants it there.
She
What?
likes it
She
there.
likes it there.
Are you
And
serious?
That's feeding it.
Bless
And
you.
see, when I went, because I didn't know what it was, I'm thinking, oh, it's just a ghost thing.
That's
Uh-huh.
all we thought it was. Just
I
some
went
spirits.
unprotected.
Yeah, of
I will
course.
never go to a place unprotected again after walking in it.
Let me ask you, and and I'm going to ask you because I know you guys live in an area where there's a lot of I'm going to say civil war. I mean, there's other things, but there's a theory sometimes that they say that these type of what they either you want to call them demonic or non-human entities, they're attracted to locations like this where there's been like a lot of bloodshed or
Yeah.
conflict,
Yeah.
anguish. People dying, like in extreme pain, and this is what draws them in, and um, then
Well, she
people
actually
run across them like
does,
you do.
She does where she invites the public in and does ghost tours and things like that, and all of that is just feeding it. This thing is so powerful because she's been doing this for years with this thing. And,
Now,
I don't understand that.
Paula,
Exactly.
Paula has been into the house once, and I took her down to the basement, and she has recognized bodies still buried in the basement.
She's got what?
Yeah.
There's
She
still
got
bodies buried in the basement.
Yeah.
What? Oh my God.
And I'm guessing being Civil War Fort it was, I'm pretty sure there might be.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oil spot
The dirt.
down.
Yeah, I put my hands in the dirt and I pulled my hands and my hands were I don't know what it was in this lady's dirt, Darlene's dirt, but and then I had a cut on my hand.
Okay.
I don't know how I cut my hand just touching dirt, but I had a cut and it was pretty painful and it was nasty and it took forever to get this stuff off my hands.
It wouldn't wash
It wouldn't
off.
wash off. My hands were black. It took me. So I mean, I had to use I used water. I even grabbed the seesaw because I was like, I want this demonic
Yeah, I
dirt,
bet.
wherever this can't get off my hand, But
And
yeah,
you-
that was interesting.
And you know what? I don't know what it is about basements and cellars and things that are underground, but there's always something really dark,
Yeah.
spiritually speaking. There's always lurks in these places.
I think it's because it's an unused part of the house.
Yeah.
It's somewhere it can hide and be comfortable at.
It's in
Yes.
the
You
earth.
know, and it's
It's in the earth.
Being
Yeah.
down low, that you've got a better chance of it being near a water source, underground water source,
Yeah.
or in
Yes.
one of our cases, the whole ground area were old quartz mines, and quartz is,
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So,
a very
when you
powerful
have
conductor.
things like that in the ground, then that makes perfect sense why they would be down.
and we also live in the Shenandoah Valley,
Mm-hmm.
which is where a lot of the Civil War battles happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Up through
Yes.
the valley. So there's so much like that that's still around that I mean, we have places here we know that's haunted, that they just won't let anybody in to investigate or anything. They're I guess they use it as an attraction to bring people in, but they don't know what these entities are, and just like she was bringing them into her house, and
I have a problem with that, but it's like, but-
same here.
and you know what? One of my theories is that a lot of these areas where there's been conflict like that, let's say like the Civil War, especially in that area, let's face it, thousands of people, men, were killed, okay?
Right.
And with the weather, I mean, how many bodies do you think that were just left there because there was just no manpower to pick them up and get them buried?
Yeah.
So, yeah, even though you have, like, let's say forts or things where you go, oh, I go, you know what? There's a ton of guys that probably were killed, and basically where they fell is where they stayed, and within a few days, that's it. there was nothing left to find or to bury. And especially back then, I say, you know what? Back in those times, people really believed in wanting to be buried in consecrated ground
Right.
and in a, like in a proper cemetery. So, I mean, to me, I think that in and of itself could cause, some type of intelligent
And
haunting where this person's not at rest.
also, I mean, you got to think they may have died so quickly they didn't even know they were dead.
Yes.
And that can be part of it as well. I mean, they died so suddenly that they just really don't know. I mean, I'm sure by now they do, but you got to think back for years they didn't have any clue they were dead. They didn't know to go to the light or whatever it may be.
Right.
And,
exactly.
I visit Gettysburg quite a bit, and that's what they've been running into up there, even recently, that they're getting EVPs that are saying, I just want to go home, and,
Wow.
Things like that. And
That's so sad.
what can you say? I mean, it's very sad.
Very sad.
It's just, you don't know, you try to do your best, like he said. You're doing both for the living and the dead, like that. You're trying to...
Then you got these idiots who are coming into places, and instead of helping, they're bringing worse stuff in.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've seen that.
They're making it
Worse than it was.
they're doing irresponsible things like going in and provoking and doing insane,
my God. It's like,
very disrespectful, and it can just make things worse.
yeah, I tell them, the same way I say, well, you know what, as a group, there are clients that you can turn down if for whatever reason you don't think it's safe, or you just get this feeling, I say it's, I tell clients, if you run across a group who you don't think is experienced, or they just do not make you feel good, don't use them. Because I have heard of groups that have gone in and actually made things worse.
Oh, yeah.
Because they either didn't know what they were doing, they amped things up, or they did what you're talking about, provocation, confrontation, because they just want to get some type of evidence, and it's like,
Well, you got these idiots that'll take a Ouija board or something like that into the place and open it up, and then they don't close it down.
they don't close it down. They don't know how to close it.
And, they're just trying to get documentation where they can show their friends,
Yeah.
hey, look,
They're
this thing
having
moved
fun.
and this and that,
And
it's just a thrill ride.
Right.
And then they don't understand that they're actually opening up portals and they're bringing things in, and
Or they're taking off what's already there.
exactly, or charging something up that's already there and just giving it more life or energy.
Well,
And then they don't know how to close it.
they
Or
don't. Or they don't care. They just like, But you're right.
Exactly.
You made a very good point. They're so desperate to get some type of evidence that they do that provocation because they don't want to do the boring stuff, which is like sit there and wait and and just see if something manifests on its own, because they want to get that whatever, and then it just stirs the pot and it makes things a lot worse. And the poor people that are stuck there living there, if it's a regular household, they're the ones that are stuck there wondering what. Because these people.
It's a spiritual disaster.
And then that makes them weary of any reputable
Yes.
group coming in and
Yes.
actually helping them.
Yeah.
Yes.
They want to
Yeah,
move
that
or
quite a
leaving
bit.
the house.
Yep.
They
That
do.
happens
have-
quite often.
Yeah.
Or you have some spirits that just don't want to open up to people coming in, and they will hide, and
Yeah.
you'll have to run around and find them, and then you're just like, okay, we're gonna leave you alone.
Or we
Yeah.
get clients that are so scarred from past experiences with other groups that they end up canceling on us. They chicken out once or multiple times.
Yes.
That's
I have
another
heard of that
touchy.
too. I've heard of some of them that have basically backed out of the driveway and left. I've heard stories of that. And that poor person, can you imagine? Talk about getting anxious. If you have a paranormal group that actually just leaves when they get into your driveway.
Right.
Or they're getting affected outside of their home, and
Yes.
they realize it, and then they come back home and it's gets worse in the home, so they feel like they don't want they want help, but they don't know, if I get help, will it make it even worse?
Yeah.
Or
Yes.
if I get help, will it stop it? That's what makes them iffy about it. Is
Right.
if they want help or not.
Which
Yeah,
sometimes,
they're
let me tell you
afraid
something, the spirits, if there is an intelligent haunting there, they will manipulate it that way. where when they kind of see that they're going to call a group, they calm things down and they back off, and then the person will say, well, it's not that bad. It's gotten better. They dial it back. And then when they maybe a month later, then they start right back up again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if we're about like the last one we wouldn't say dates out loud so that they wouldn't know when we were coming, so that they could calm down.
Yeah.
We
kind of like a
text.
surprise.
It was a surprise attack.
That's a great idea.
We text everybody and we were like, hey, this is the date we're doing, but we never said it out loud. We never said when we were coming, what time. We just text everybody.
We pick like 4 dates and we say, are these 4 dates available for investigations? And they'll say, yes, any of those days.
That's
and I'm
fantastic.
like, fine, and expect a surprise visit.
Yeah.
That's
And I
great.
leave it at that.
We did one last night that was it was a surprise.
Yeah.
It was planned like
Right. Like here we go. Oh my God, did I lose you guys? Oh. Can you guys hear me? Oh, I hope I didn't lose them. Oh. And this is such a good conversation. No. Are you guys there? Oh.
but it's
Oh, okay. I thought I had lost you guys. Go ahead. You guys kind of froze on me. Oh. I guess their internet service is running hiccuping. Darn. Oh, yeah, I've got something. Internet connection problem. Oy. Let's see. Nope. Okay.
There we are.
Okay,
Sorry,
we're
on
good.
my hotspot. I had a phone call try to ring in.
Okay, for a minute I was like, oh no. It's such a good interview.
Somebody's trying to call me and they know I'm busy.
So anyway, you
So
guys were saying that last night you went on one where
Well, we were contacted by, they were, and then they asked me to come along, but it was a situation with Pastor Mike.
okay.
And, I think what it started out as is the family thought it was property, and it actually come to find out it was actually an attachment.
Oh.
And Jennifer was getting some pretty heavy, I walked around with her as we did the initial, walk through with her and I did. And, she was getting really nothing around the house. I mean, you could really not feel, it just didn't feel like anything was out of ordinary.
Okay.
But you could really tell that this woman was, she was really affected. I mean,
we did start the exorcism process.
And the exorcism process, he actually did once he came in and she had gotten, the reading off of her.
Okay.
He actually exorcised the house, and then he did an exorcism on her, beginning of one.
Okay.
And they've got to go back, and it's going to be a process with that. It's not, there's different levels of demonic activity that you can have.
Yeah.
There's different strengths of demons that you have.
Mm-hmm.
And what we were saying was what she was getting a picture of was something really small and weaker than what we have seen before.
Yeah.
It's more of a
That's kind of how I'm able to weigh it. Is what I've picked up in other demonic cases and other negative entities.
Right.
I can kind of have a personal scale in comparison.
And to be honest, and this is an opinion, her and her husband have been to a couple of haunted places and went on like these public ghost tours of like an asylum and stuff like that.
Okay.
And I really do think that something just came on with her.
Well, and that was, you know what? I was about to ask you, do you guys ever check to see what the point of origin is? I mean, sometimes there is no way of knowing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And we asked, and
Sometimes that's important information to have when you're trying to get rid of what's there, or trying to,
It's very.
absolutely.
yeah.
And but she's a good gal of faith, and she's really, so it's not actually possessing her, if that makes
Right.
sense.
Yes,
it's more like
absolutely.
an just
It's an oppression.
kind of, it's an
Yeah, it's an
oppression.
oppression.
It's an
It's
oppression.
just wrapped around her consciousness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Buying her time.
But it's definitely, even when the pastor was doing the exorcism on her,
Like a
the
doll.
process, he was fumbling through words at one time because this thing was messing with his eyesight. He said he was getting heavy pressure on his temples.
And you can see reactions in her
And
as
you
well.
could see reactions on her as he was doing it, in and out of just, I guess, just like visually looking at her facial expressions and some of the things that she was physically doing with her body that you could tell, like she was praying with him when he would ask and stuff like that.
Right.
But then there was times that she was just glaring him down, like what he was saying, she did not, or it did not want to hear, what he
None of
had
that.
to say.
There was one moment when he was asking its name, and I received a word repeatedly, and she suddenly turned and glared at me like she
Ooh.
knew that I was receiving what I received.
And there was no
But
way
it-
that she physically could have known it. In other words, she
No.
couldn't have heard it.
'Cause I didn't say anything. I was sitting there quiet,
Yeah.
and gonna say anything until after he was done with that portion of the exorcism. But since she turned and glared at me, and I mean, like not blinking, glared, like angry looking.
Mumbling.
Yes.
It's like I knew he knows, and I went ahead and said something then. But I had some experiences there where I was physically touched by this thing, and but yeah, it's gonna take more than one time. We already have plans to go another day.
Let me ask you, isn't that must be so startling to be thinking something or hearing something, but internally, and then you get this reaction.
Because it's like I've had it since I was like 5, so I'm kind of used to it now. I actually do like a waking meditative kind of exercise or process to open
Okay.
myself up for it to allow.
Right. But to see this other person react,
Oh yeah, no,
it must be like, wow, that this
I was like, whoa.
exactly, like, how would this person, unless they're reading my mind, and how could they be reading my mind unless
And it was in that moment when that was the only time she glared at me. The whole
Yeah.
time, it was the only time she did that. Was in that moment when I received that word.
Okay, be patient.
Well, going off of what Jennifer said, like we had a case where their kids brought in a Ouija board, and they were talking about she couldn't think of the name, and it instantly came to me. Like I had no idea. Like it could have been any name in the world, and it just came to me like that, and I knew what it was because of like other things going on, and like his and hers reaction, like facial expressions. I could just
okay.
basically.
Let me tell you something.
This
To
is all
me,
new for her, so she's not trying to soak everything
Yeah.
in
you know what?
as fast as
To me personally, these are the things that basically are your heads up that, hey, I am dealing here with something legitimately supernatural. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, yeah, I imagine that you guys, when you go in there, you're always going on the supposition that it's not,
Exactly.
That's I hope it's not.
Right. Yeah, it's like, hey, people's imagination nowadays, they see too many of these ghost shows, and every little noise that the house makes, it's haunted. And it's
Yeah.
like, no, not really.
Oh yeah, we're always protected just in case.
Yeah.
It's better to be overprotected than
Oh, sure.
underprotected.
Yeah.
I have a really good friend who lives in Gettysburg,
Okay.
and her family's very they do the ghost tours. They can go into the real nice places. We say nice places, and they had, I'm not going to name the TV series, but they had a TV series come in,
Okay.
and and usually it's a half an hour to an hour on TV,
Right.
and these guys were there in what you would think would be one of the biggest it is one of the biggest hot spots.
Okay.
And they had to stay 7 days and film hour over hour over hour to get like 3 things happened when you actually watched the
The
show
show.
on TV. But it was, they made it look like they walked in, it happened, they were there for like 2
Yeah, of
days,
course, because
gone,
man, the
but they
magic
were
of
there for
editing.
7 days
I
to
mean,
get
there's a-
10 minutes worth of footage,
That's why you wind up with a lot of some of the TV shows with
Yeah.
fake footage, because they don't have time to spend a week in one place to get enough footage for a show.
Yes.
And that's why some of them you can see are pretty legit. As I'm watching some of them, I watch and I see that they're pretty legit because they don't find something, and that's tells me that they're, because we're living it as they are as well. When we go into places, I mean, I can't tell you endless hours after hours that
Yes.
God, just something, even, let a mouse run across the floor.
Yeah.
Something, yes.
Or
Something to just like go, oh my God, get excited about, and then it turns out, all right, okay. False alarm. But you know
And we've
what?
had that happen.
And you know what? And this is the thing. A lot of people think that, you know what? You could go in and investigate, and maybe if you don't get any capture, whatever, that doesn't mean still that it's nothing there. Because like I said, you will have entities who make themselves scarce and say, you know what? I'm going to go into the cellar, the attic, the shed out in the back, and wait till these people pick up their crap and leave. you know?
Yeah.
That doesn't mean, but like you said, there's a lot of times that nothing happened. It's not an on-demand kind of thing. And, it's some kind of consolation when you've got a family that's telling you, look, we've had this type of experience and this type of experience. And then when you get there, you can't, nothing really happens. And it's like, okay.
The one case we actually, we went in from the experiences and the stories. We went in and we were thinking, wow, this is going to be an exciting night, and it was just like
Nothing.
Nah.
all night
Yeah.
long. We're like, what's going on?
But
and
yeah,
we actually invited the client back because
Okay.
we had a hypothesis
Oh, yeah.
that it was demonic and that he was the target. And then when he came back, it lit up.
Wow.
Things started.
So,
but another thing you need to understand too is when these clients are telling you their stories, these stories are coming from years
yes.
and years of things happening, not just what happened within the last week or month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is based over years, and
Yes.
it may sound like a lot, but when you break it down to how long ago it started, it's
Yes.
really not a lot of activity. But it's just more than they want to deal with.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
there's
days
usually some tipping point that happens where they,
Yeah.
or they come to
Yeah.
the realization that it's not the house that's haunted, it's them, because they have
Yeah,
similar
and
experiences.
They really don't like.
You
And
know,
some days it could be more than others. So
Yeah.
you just have to. If you come on a day that's not active, it's not active.
And that always seems to be the days that we go.
yeah, it's you know what, and I tell everybody, I said, you know what, despite what people think, there are intelligent hauntings of ghosts that know they're dead, but for whatever reason, God knows, it could be a number of reasons, they just don't want to cross over. So they keep a low profile, and like when a team shows up, they're like, I'm getting out of here. They're not
Exactly.
they're not belligerent. They don't want to get in your face, and they just kind of like try to put themselves in some little pocket in the house. And
Yeah. And it's our job to find that pocket.
Yeah, and we actually had a case, I guess an hour away from here, where we went in, a family, they actually weren't even using the upstairs of their home.
Yeah,
Because it was that bad. We're talking like how many kids they have? 3?
No, 4. Yeah.
Four kids, something like that. All of them were sleeping downstairs.
Wow.
So we went in and spent, I'm talking, we got there probably 8 o'clock that night and stayed all the way up until, we're looking at 2 o'clock in the morning. We're just very happened. And I mean, we had another couple that, from the area that they called us to come help them.
right.
And she actually went, and if she would see like where you could look in between the wall, the inside wall and the outside wall of the house,
Right.
it was the old farmhouse. She would actually reach down, shine a flashlight to see if there was anything that maybe somebody had planted in there.
Okay.
She was really getting, and I mean, she had gotten permission, But she
Right.
got really personal. I mean, and so at this point, we're all joking around, laughing, with the customer,
Right.
making them feel a little better. And Paula goes upstairs with,
Art.
with the other gentleman
Yeah.
from the other group.
Right.
And next thing we know, she gets attacked. I mean, literally, this thing come out of a room
Shove me over the
and
banister.
tried to shove her over the banister.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And so that's how quick it happened. Hours there, nothing.
Mm.
And then all of a sudden it happened, and then we kind of trapped it, and that's what it was on. He was, and we say he because we do know it was an older gentleman.
Okay.
Bastard. Oh, sorry.
But anyway, we eventually found, there's a closet, and right there is where, he had been. We think he'd been pretty much hiding the whole time, like you're saying. He was intelligent enough to know.
Yeah.
But there was also more to it than that. There was a child spirit involved, another woman spirit involved, and he was pretty much repressing them from going to the light, is what it come out to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I
And,
have.
Paula was able to get those. Paula was able to cross the little boy and the lady
Yeah.
that night.
Yes, I
And
have
so-
heard of that. That basically you got
And
one
talk-
spirit holding everybody else hostage and doesn't let them go on.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah.
And not to get too personal about the clients, but talking about how it can affect the family.
Oh,
This couple is no longer together.
yeah.
I believe it.
They're no longer together anymore, and it has a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
So
I believe it. I believe
Yeah.
it, sure. Yes, that's very, which is, again, I point this out, when you look at all these Hollywood movies, when there's something demonic, which is like, okay, people, their eyes, they don't go white, they flip backwards and they do all this, somersaults and all this crap. I said, you know what? Sometimes the influence of something demonic is like what you just described, that the family falls apart, that, or puts a really big strain on a relationship that not all of them
Absolutely.
can overcome. It doesn't have to be the Hollywood version. That's like, okay, that's just a lot of like,
Oh, that's
it's just there to destroy. I mean, it's there to just wreak havoc and destroy.
yes,
It wants to
exactly,
do.
exactly.
Textbook is to come and drive a wedge between, split families up, because when you
Yes.
can split them up, then you weaken the person.
Yes,
They don't have other family members to back them up,
yes,
and that's a lot of times that's the goal of the entity or the demon, is to split the couples up, split the families
Yes.
up, and isolate the target.
Or attack
Yes.
the strongest of the family,
yeah.
so that once he or she is destroyed, they can go through each individual child or person
Yes.
that's living in the house, so that they can destroy basically the family and
Yeah.
make them feel depressed or anything.
Working down the hierarchy of
Yeah.
the family line.
Yeah, but you know what? That's not good movie making though. That's too dull. And that's why. But yeah.
And sometimes it's curses. You find out that somebody was actually,
Yeah.
the family was cursed.
Oh,
back
I'm glad you
1800
brought that up, because I was
something.
going to ask you that I've seen that. That sometimes when
Right.
you like, you take the thread and you follow it back, you're basically looking, it's a generational thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Have you guys run across
I've seen
anything like that?
Yeah, I've seen that a few times, or quite a few times actually.
Yeah.
Where it was just a curse.
Yes.
It might not have been a curse that was put on the family. It was just some kind of entity that started out and just followed, generation to generation down.
Yes.
And doesn't mean it's demonic, but it's just something that's wreaking havoc, throughout every generation of it. I knew a family actually that lost 7, 8 different men in their family due to suicide and alcoholism.
Right.
And finally, the boys said, no more. I'm not having this happen anymore. And, he, I guess, I don't want to say an exorcism, but he got into church, he got into faith, and
Yeah.
he said, I want to break this,
Yeah.
this generational curse that, that's
Yes.
on my family, because
Yes.
it seemed like every one of them would get to a certain age and they would just, alcoholism had taken over and was ruining everything, and their way out of it was suicide.
Exactly.
And I'm saying it's 7 or 8 of them. I mean, through a tunnel of 100 years that had happened, and finally, somebody told him, this is a generational curse. This is a family curse, and that doesn't mean like some witch doctor or witch put, what I'm saying, a curse on them. It's just some kind of spiritual thing that started way back when, and has never broken away, or they've never tried to break it away from them.
Well, and you know what? All families, nobody lives a perfect life, and you always have tragedies that happen in all families. You can't escape it.
Absolutely.
But when you start seeing like what you just described, that you're looking at 100 years, and you start counting up, and you go, what are the odds that this is going to happen to just about every person each generation? Then you start thinking, okay, there's something here that's affecting the family.
Right.
So yeah, that a lot of people, and unfortunately hindsight's 2020, and you only realize it like when somebody actually decides to say, okay, I'm going to stop it. Somewhere it's got to stop. Instead of just
exactly.
Wow, that is I've been twice to Gettysburg myself. And it's really funny because, everybody thinks, that the battlefields or where the monuments are is, the haunted hotspots. But I remember the first time we went there, we stayed there's a little hotel there. I'm not going to say the name. It's a 1-story. It's right across from the Union Cemetery. And I remember we got in there like really late at night, and we just checked in. We just went to our rooms because we were like really tired. And I had really weird dreams. And my husband, which by the way, he's a really, really, really big skeptic, he started hearing stuff going on in the bathroom. And he tried to wake me up and tells me, I'm hearing something in the bathroom. And I'm thinking he's just, screwing with me. And I'm like, oh, stop it. The next day, he was mad at me. He goes, the one time I tell you something and you don't believe me. I go, but you're telling me you're hearing gurgling in the bathroom. Like, I'm thinking you're like playing with me. You're just trying to make fun of me. He was so upset, because he's this real hardcore. He was in law enforcement. The one time I actually tell you, I'm like, I'm asleep and you're telling me you're hearing some gurgling in the bathroom or in the toilet or something. Like, what do you expect me to say? So anyway, he was so upset that he gets up and he goes to the front desk and he asked him, he goes, hey, and he goes, oh yeah, that's our most haunted room. And it turns out, and it was really funny because I myself had this dream of, believe it or not, what I saw, and when you work in this, you kind of know when it's a regular dream versus a ghost. It was a cleaning lady. Everybody that goes to Gettysburg gets caught up in, the only things you're going to see is soldiers or anything tied into the war. And I'm like, you know what? People have lived their lives in this area.
That's awesome.
That have nothing to do with a war or, with a civil war or a casualty. There's been people that lived and died their whole lives there. And it was a cleaning lady, at least the one that I saw in my dream. But yeah, that's what I'm saying, that you always have to leave an open space for seeing the unexpected. You're going to see something that is not what you expect to see, especially when you go to like these battlegrounds and places like that.
Yeah.
And because the other day I was talking to a girl, she's a psychic, and she lives in Alabama now, but she's done some investigations in Virginia. And she told me, she goes, Virginia has got to be one of the most haunted states that I've ever been to. Okay. But I want to ask you guys, is that true? Is that accurate?
It ranges right up there at the top.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
A lot of the problem that I find with Virginians is a lot of the older people who still own these haunted houses are so they don't believe in talking about it.
Wow.
They don't think you should talk about your
They just accept it.
yes.
Right. I can see.
So
Yeah.
They accept it, and they also look at it as like
taboo.
Very
social.
taboo.
It's not going to be socially accepted if they go into, the restaurant and start talking to their buddy about it, and then it gets into a conversation. Then the next time they come in, they're going to get that eerie, weird quietness when they walk in, like there's the nutcase coming.
Yeah,
in.
exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
Like that.
Oh.
It takes sometimes it takes something extreme to happen in these houses. But you
Yes.
got to think, we've had the Revolutionary War through here, Native Americans through here, the
Yes.
Civil War through here. Virginia really is the
On
oldest
top
state.
of regular
you know.
everyday life.
Yes.
And then on top of that, you have, just whatever would happen after that. So, yeah, we have, and a lot of the history around here, they haven't touched. They've preserved it. And,
Also-
Right.
yeah.
We had a lady in the Mennonite community who was actually excommunicated from. She was excommunicated from her Mennonite community because she had spirits in her house, and she tried to get help, and the community actually shunned her and
I've heard of
excommunicated
that.
her.
I've heard of that. And I heard. I mean, I'm not that, but I heard that they do with the Amish that they're very when it comes to stuff like that, you kind of like it's your fault kind of deal. Like you're not. It's not.
Yeah.
And it's
You're not
it's-
living right.
right. Exactly. Like
You're not right.
God is
And
punishing them.
So that's your punishment.
They call
Yeah.
her a witch, basically. They
yes,
accused her
I've heard of
witchcraft.
that. I have heard of that. That
Yeah.
it's like. So I guess the smart thing would just to be to shut up and not.
Not saying nothing, just deal with it.
Sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a very haunted state, very haunted area. But like you said, that people,
They're closed-minded.
the older
Mhm.
generations are quiet about it.
Well, you know what?
And the younger generations just want to
Irritated.
blow it out of the water.
Right. Yeah.
So,
You get one
it's
extreme or
hard
the
to
other.
have happy medium, you know.
And we also live on limestone and quartz is
Yeah.
mostly what the ground is around here.
Yeah.
So
with the
that being
conductors.
said, that's a conductor. And water. We have the Shenandoah River running through here.
Uh-huh.
We're attached to the Potomac River. We have the Chesapeake Bay. We have, all that as well.
Yes.
So that we feel that are conductors of paranormal, or spiritual energy, I should say.
And our location where we're located now, we're right near the West Virginia, we're the tri-state area, right near the West Virginia border, Maryland border. So we're fairly close to like Shepherdstown and Sharpsburg, Harpers Ferry.
Okay.
A lot of major known to be haunted towns and sites. I mean, there's so many known haunted places
Yeah,
in
yeah, there
our
are.
area.
3 Civil War battlefields.
The Mount Hebron Cemetery has a Civil War section of the cemetery and a mass burial there in
Yeah.
the cemetery alone in Winchester.
Yeah, you know what? There's a lot
Yeah,
of
I mean,
things that
actually-
sometimes people don't realize, is especially back then. If you ever had an epidemic of anything, they would have these mass burials. Besides the war, is what I'm saying, where for expediency and fear of contamination, they would open pits and chuck the bodies in there, and that's it. I mean,
It's a giant mound, and it's got a monument on top of the mound. But I mean, there's actual grave sites around it.
Is that the
Actual
one
cemetery. That's the one we went
We
on.
went to
yeah.
when we walked up, and we were both
It's a
our
Oh yeah, you
stood
could
up,
feel
yeah.
you could feel the
The
energy
hairs on our arms just stood up. That was pretty
walking up
wild.
on the mound.
so guys,
My theory about graveyards is kind of conservative, I guess. My theory is, why would a spirit want to hang around its dead body?
We had that conversation the
Why
other
doesn't
day.
it, if a spirit, I know, I don't understand why, but that's my big question. Why, when a spirit stays behind, it stays at its dead body for most of the time?
Maybe they want to watch themselves rot.
I don't know.
I'd be like, hey, look, I'm decomposing.
well,
That's
you
so
know, they're-
cool.
some of them I've heard they kind of follow their body, like, hey, that they can't like. It's like, hey, that's my body. I'll just follow it around because I don't want to let it out of my sight just in case. you know?
Yeah.
Totally unacceptable.
Yeah.
Like they grieve over their own like dead body, and it's just
Exactly.
like they feel bad. Like I think they feel bad for dying and like not preparing people for it.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, it could be. Everybody's so different. Some people it's unprepared. Some people I think it's fear of going to hell. It's depends what's going on in your head when you die. Even people that are prepared for it, it's
Well,
depends.
I'm not going to go into it in depth, but that's where faith comes in. Regardless
Oh, yeah.
of what your faith is,
Yes.
that's where faith comes in.
Yeah, and we actually, all of our members in our group are different faiths.
Very.
Yeah.
We vary from one to the other. Yeah.
Yep.
But I'll tell you what, in the 20 years of my investigational team of CNC,
Uh-huh.
this is the best group I have ever had.
So you hear that, guys?
You don't count.
So let me ask you, since it's eclipse day, and I'm going to ask this because according to these eclipse, every other cryptid known that's ever been mentioned is supposed to be coming out or came out. Do you guys have any cryptids or like any type? No, Lizard Man is in South Carolina. What was it? Bigfoot. Different versions of Bigfoot is out there. Do you guys got anything running around there in your neck of the woods that you're all famous for?
No, I think that's all crap anyway.
Yeah. We got some hairy hillbillies.
Yeah, they-
Oh my God!
and they probably smell worse than the Bigfoot does.
No comment.
But you know what? It is what it is. To everyone has their own beliefs, and who am I to
Right.
mock
No,
it
no, I
for,
know.
you know?
No, the reason why I say that is I was
And
reading
it
up on,
makes
on the
sense about
things
it,
that
every-
people that they were saying that, of course there's a million different, well, it's past tense now because the eclipse came and went, but it was like, every weird thing that's ever been talked about is supposed to like come out, and I was like, okay. I mean, I heard of stuff that I had never even heard about before. So
The earth is going to open up and swallow everybody.
yeah, that one I've heard.
Yeah.
I've had it.
That's next month.
Oh, yeah.
It's September when the end of the world's supposed to come.
Yeah, that
Right,
one.
okay. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's
The
what
best
we're being told.
The best one that I
Yeah.
heard was about the flat Earth. The flat Earth
yeah.
belief that the sun and the moon are just
About
projections,
flat
and
Earth.
I was like, what?
What? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
how
true.
many more? How many
Oh my
more
gosh.
pictures than outer?
All my
From
teachers are wrong.
satellite or from
Well, it's on Facebook. It must
human
be true.
eyes,
Yeah.
everything else that's seen the world. They know it's not flat,
Oh.
but they will have people that will argue
Yes.
You know
that-
it's fun.
that they will argue. But it's just like I was telling them over at the restaurant. I was really lost in just laughter today at work because my boss and I, we talk, politics and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And we were just betting that somebody was going to blame something on the eclipse, some human reason or something,
I know.
And there was a woman, if I'm right, it was an Oregon professor that called the eclipse racist.
Oh, okay, you know what? I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised because I think it's ridiculous personally. Like it's just an eclipse, it's just an eclipse.
And she said the reason why was because other places such as Virginia, we only seen 80% of it. So she
It's
said
like-
the way the eclipse ran, that the only people that seen the full eclipse were actually the states that voted for Trump. That's what she said.
You know what? People. There's something wrong with people when you start interpreting things like that. It's
Right.
just an eclipse, for the love of Mike. It's just
She's a professor. She's teaching.
a thing of the
Don't
cosmos.
Right.
I really see. That's to me. That's lunacy. To be honest with you.
But and she writes something like that and is very passionate and serious about it. And it's the same type of people that I'll go up to and try to talk to them a little bit about paranormal, and they think I'm crazy. You know what I mean?
Right? Isn't that funny? Where they where that you say and they're like, oh, you're one of those, and you believe in that, and you do like, oh, okay, all right. And then, but
Well, you think the solar eclipse is racist.
Oh yeah.
The
Well, it's like
moon
I
hates
said.
everybody equally. Trust me.
it's
It's like I said to the woman at the restaurant earlier about her dead husband. Are you guys for real? The very first thing she said. No introduction, no nothing. Are you guys for real? How do you answer that?
We paid money for shirts and everything just for
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
We we don't make money at this, you know, and that's, you know, I've explained that to her. You know, people have donated equipment to us and stuff like that. You
But we're a
know,
nonprofit.
but we don't ask any for
Everything
anything.
comes out of
Right,
our own
exactly.
pocket.
Like, you know, gas money. You know, sometimes we have to stay overnight somewhere.
Sure.
You know, that comes out of our own pocket, but that's part of what we know we need
Right.
to do.
Yeah, that you know going in.
But then, you know, I didn't get offended by her saying that, but I was really like, you know, once I wanted
Right.
to say, well, yeah, we are, I was getting ready to get a bounce back from her. And
Well, you
she
know
said,
what?
oh, well,
And this is the thing. She asks you this, but then and then you're thinking, okay, are you going to ask me for help? But you're asking me that? I mean,
that's what I'm saying. I'm like stuck in the, you know, it said pause right there, like, okay, what is she going to come with? And she said, that's when she said, well, my dead husband just is fucking, what'd she say, wreaking hell at my house. She was like, you know, and I offered her services and gave her a card and, you know, explained to her that, you know, we don't charge to come out or anything like that. And if you just want us to come and try to communicate, you know, we can do that. If you want us to try to pass him over. And like I said, she was like, oh, no, I just need him to, you know, stop doing this stuff. It's driving me crazy. You
right.
know?
Yeah,
It's like,
he doesn't listen to you, but we're strangers and we're going to go in there and we're going to tell him to behave and he's going to pay attention to us.
I said, well, who wore the pants in the family when he was alive? And she's like, oh, you know who did. You know, she's like, tell him quit, you know, stop it. I mean, you know. Tell him you wait until I die and see what happens. You know?
Yeah, it's like.
But I mean, I didn't say it, but I was thinking, you know, that in my
Right.
head, you know, just threatening, you know, like you used to.
Or, you know,
And,
maybe he's getting
it was a
back
little
at her.
more serious than that. What's that?
Maybe he's getting back at her.
Might be.
That's right. Never thought about that one. That's true.
It's like,
Oh,
yeah.
When I die, I'm coming back and I'm giving them all a taste of what they gave me.
Remember when you yeah. Let me tell you, it's
I'll say, hey, then I'll start poking them. Remember? And then I'll go away for a while.
next thing you know,
Yeah.
they're trying to
I'm just gonna
exercise
wait
you,
till they're in their most intimate moments, and that's when I'm going to show up.
Yeah.
Like, hey!
and then, you know, heads up, guys. If that ever happens, you know who it is. Like quite a few years from now, I hope. You know, but yeah, no, yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, but then, you know, the most important thing, we could joke around with each other like that, but I am not afraid to go into even the deepest, darkest situations with these guys because I know they got my back.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal right there. You know?
Absolutely.
We all have, even though I'm like one of the newest members of the team, you know, I've already developed a great friendship with everybody, and it's like we all trust each other. We
Right.
know that we
That's what
Yeah,
I say. We're
we are a
family.
family.
And that's very important. That's really
Friends
important.
do need to pay up.
All of Carl's wives.
And I'm going to tell you something. You guys have something really important, which I can tell you, is you guys have a sense of humor. Okay? And the reason why I say this is sometimes people that do this work, they get too serious about it. You know? It's like, okay, I know we're talking about dead people, but you can laugh. You know? And that's really important to keep things in perspective. Because if not, it's like, okay. You know, like this lady that was at this place already, you know, trying to tell you, like, to tell her, you know, shake your finger at her husband and tell him to be good, and come on.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think she would have if we do get to go in to try to help her shut him up or whatever, I'm pretty sure she wouldn't mind having a little bit of humor involved with it.
Oh, she'll get it
You
when
know.
she wants to.
Of course.
We go all in.
And you know what clients you can be that way with.
Yeah, pretty much.
And what you can't. You know, you feel it out, you see the situation, and when it's not as, you know, like just like last night with even that being as serious as it was, you know, the husband and I, you know, he was a little worried about if she was going to be in trouble physically while the exorcism was going on. So, you know, I take him, you know, we take a walk. He's in the military, so he had all this stuff, and I asked him about it, and, you know, it kind of took his mind off of it. And then we're in they're doing an exorcism in the kitchen, and him and I are in the living room, about some stories that he's telling me. But you got to do that sometimes, to, I mean, even in my, outings that I've had in other countries where I've went with my church and stuff.
Okay.
When you have a client that's worried and standing over top of, who's being taken care of, they get vulnerable themselves. And I've had them, where it's been quiet and, the pastors or the pastors over top of somebody and, they're really convulsing and, they're whatever's going on. And, and their husband, wife, child, somebody's standing there and just take me, leave them alone,
Oh my God,
And,
that's,
I've seen that happen so many times. And so to me, even though I don't think this gentleman would have done it, that came to mind to me because I've seen that happen. So to take him into the next room, my thing is to kind of cut the, the seriousness of everything is to kind of, ask him something personal about, he had all this stuff up from the Army, and I asked him about that, and, and then we started laughing a little bit about some of his stories, and, it kind of took him out of the situation for a second. And that whole reason was like, I'm not trying to think that your situation is funny or comical in any way, but I need to get kind of over here to keep you safe.
Exactly.
And you got to have that. You got to be able to approach things at every angle because that demonic entity is going to approach us at every angle. That it can. It's going to find the weakest link.
Absolutely. That is, and you're right. It's sometimes it's just not the one person being affected; it's the people around as well that have to be brought into it.
On another note, with what Andy was just now talking about, I got an email or a text message from the client that it's now going after her husband.
There you go. See.
So,
After we just did the
after we just did the exorcism, it's now going after her husband.
Yep. Yeah, because
So now it's picking up again, and we're going to have to get out there probably sooner than we had expected.
Yeah.
And there's animals, there's pets that are involved with that too.
Wow.
She has a dog that stays by her side
to protect
and he growls at nothing. He's, looking into darkness. He's looking into the corner of the room. There's not even, like her husband said, there's not even, lights from passing cars or anything.
Right, nothing that could account for it.
And the dog does not leave her side.
But that dog, stays.
It was like glued to her.
Glued
to
her. And it's not mean. It wasn't. It let all of us pet it.
Right. Exactly.
Away.
The thing
but
is,
it never got to that dog.
It never got more than 5 foot away.
Yeah,
from
it never
her.
left where it could not see.
Yeah.
And so they were worried about that. And yes, I've heard cases where there's been demonic possessions of animals.
Yes.
Because maybe a family that's very open to know that something's going on. They're full of faith and or whatever, and they're fighting this thing, and so it goes after something that's not aware, of anything like
Yes.
that. And
Oh my God, mouse.
A demonic gerbil.
Right.
That would be that stuff.
Let me tell you.
Gerbil flying around the room coming after you and stuff.
Let me tell you something. You're scared of that. Let me tell you something. It'll empty out a house. Oh
my God!
Can you imagine? I'm not scared of rodents. I've had gerbils myself. But if you're one of these people that's scared of lizards and mice and little things like that, can you imagine?
Right. Yeah.
You have a possessed gerbil go after you? Like it's following me, and it really is. That's it,
That's
You
funny.
pull up to the house and the whole family's screaming and
Yeah,
running,
of
trying to get
course,
out
of
the
course.
door.
It's like
You can see the gerbil flying around the room.
that would be really. You know what?
Good
Think
time.
about that. That would be very disturbing if you ever got there. You saw this. It'd be-
Yep.
Oh.
Trying to get people to believe that one.
Yeah, I know. It'd be like, yeah. That would be great.
Oh my God! I can't say that. Let's just hope it's not one of those nasty perverted gerbils that like to go certain places.
Yes. Yes. Can you imagine? Oh my God! Talk about chaos. I mean, Hello.
Yeah, but out of all seriousness, I mean, it's it's sad to hear that that's attacking him. And after him and I started talking, it wasn't that he wasn't open that something was really happening. His exact words were, "I know something's going on because the dog barks at nothing, the dog growls at nothing,
Right.
the dog."
Yeah.
And I see, my wife, he said, change at the drop of a dime. Just
Right.
go from, I said, well, she's not getting angry or nothing. He's like, but you could see it last night when he was actually, praying over top of her.
Yeah.
Her eyes would glass over. She was fidgeting with her feet, with her hands. Then all of a sudden she just kind of drop out and when it gets to things like that, you really got to really be checking yourself as that's going on.
Sure.
Because like I said, cling to anything, but at the same time, you kind of get mad because this thing's doing this to somebody.
Yeah.
And it's where I come at. You got to have authority. I mean, being, a demonologist, it's like,
Yes.
I've seen things said in other countries where I've seen, almost to the point that they physically are shaking the crap out of somebody,
Yeah.
to get this thing detached from them. And because they get so mad at the point that it's just, you don't want to see any human being go through that,
Of course
no matter
not.
how much you
Of
thank them
course
for
not.
anything.
Of course not. And like you said, now it's gotten a little bit more complicated because it's now, setting its sight on the other person in the house, the
Right.
husband. Okay.
And they got some boys too, so that concerns me.
All right.
So,
I'm a
yeah.
single dad of boys, and it's like, is it going to go next? But I think they're so naive to everything. I mean, they know something's not right, but hopefully they're naive enough that this thing leaves them alone because they're like, I mean, I think if something was happening with them, they would probably chalk it off just as, something and, not as take it as seriously as mom and dad who, are in the medical field, by the way. And
Right.
that takes a person that they can't come up with a medical reason,
Exactly.
that stuff's happening. And, she says, it's talking to me now. She was like, it's telling me this, it's telling me that.
Wow.
And things, but as Jennifer was reading things, all this stuff was making sense. It all, so that's when,
Another thing is,
Get you to shut up.
nobody else is saying nothing.
it's nothing like the movies. They don't, do back bends.
Yeah, exactly. That acrobatic stuff. Yeah.
More subtle, your average person who would walk in the room and not know what's going on would think that there's nothing wrong.
Right.
But when you actually observe her, she's sitting here and she's fidgeting, acting like normal, and then all of a sudden she dropped like this and then snap up and glare and her not blink at all for lengths of time. And just something that simple of not blinking, that's actually a very big sign
Yes.
of a demonic oppression, demonic possession.
Yes.
But it's something simple, and you don't realize how disturbing it looks until you actually witness somebody's eyes glassed over and not blinking.
And not blinking, which for most humans is really impossible not to do.
Right, and fidgeting, like, tensing up their fingers and their toes and just doing. They're very minor. Like I said, it's not like in Hollywood where you see
Their hands not gonna spin around.
Yeah, their hands all backwards.
Pea
and,
soup all over you.
Oh no, some of those things it's like, it's like, okay, yeah, that they let me the only thing I could think of is like you guys mentioned that she had gone to some of these these haunted tours, and if there's a possibility that this is where she maybe this thing kind of like chose her. But I think the question would be, depending on what level she's at, is what was going on with her that opened her up to it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, she also was very open to, I think she was going to take a class and like, what was it? You talked to her about it.
She, this actually, she wanted to take, she called it a psychic class because she wanted to be able basically the voices she keeps hearing talking to her, she wanted it to stop. So she signed up for this class that's supposed to help you open up your psychic abilities. And I advised her that now is not the time to do
I was
that.
gonna say what?
You,
Why would she? It's
you know,
like
you don't want a gift like that when you're dealing with something
Yeah, so
like
obviously
this.
she was interested in that
yes,
before even this,
Right.
that she knew about that. So,
right,
yeah.
yeah. And the reason why I say that is, let's say if you guys go through all this effort and you're helping her and her husband out, if there's something going on with her, she's going to attract or get another type of attachment. You know,
We usually ask a lot of questions. It's not like we just go in before we even do anything. We'll ask a lot of questions about what's going on in the home. We ask them about their relationships. And,
yeah, right, yeah, just to see if
yeah, we ask them all because it's important to know that kind
sure,
of stuff.
sure. Because if
Do
not,
they consider themselves sensitives or psychics or empaths or anything like that?
well, let me tell you something. That sounds like yeah, they've got you guys are gonna have your hands full with that. It sounds like, you know.
Yeah, but that's what we're here for.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. I could keep on talking to you guys forever and ever, but
Appreciate it.
What's up, Andy?
I'm going.
Love it.
Well, thank you. Thank you for
And
having us.
anyway, I'm going to put a link to your website on the credits of the show. So if anybody wants to get a hold of you guys, because I know that you travel right outside of Virginia as well, right? Not far, far away,
Yeah.
but you're not bound just to Virginia by itself.
We go where we're needed.
Oh,
Yeah.
great.
I mean,
If
if it's serious enough, we'll go where we.
we'll figure out how to get there.
We
Okay.
figure if it's bad enough that they're calling us from that far away, then
Apparently, no other groups
Yeah.
are helping them, and we'll make it.
Right. Exactly. And and I know that because I looked at your website and I know you guys have a link to, what is it, the Order of St. Michael, the ones that
Yeah.
because and in the sense of if anybody thinks, okay, well, I think it's demonic, they should go first through that and then let them communicate
Yes.
with you guys then.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Definitely.
makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, you
So-
guys have a great group. I'm telling you. Number one, you have longevity. You've been around for a long time. A lot of groups, I would say 80% of the groups do not last, maybe beyond the first couple of years.
They're out for shits and giggles, which means they're going to be around for about a month or two,
Yes.
and then they're done.
They're done. You guys have a sense of humor. You're knowledgeable. You've got let me tell you something. You've got everything that's needed to
Oh,
stay involved in this type of field. Okay. I congratulate you guys. Hats off to you guys.
thank you,
tell
ma'am.
All right, thank you so much again, and you guys have a great night. It was fantastic to have you guys on because you guys are great. Like I said, I could be talking to you guys for another 3 hours.
Meet you.
And I'm going to be following up with you guys so you can tell me what happens because now I'm really intrigued what happens with this.
Please do. We can do another show after everything is calmed
Yeah,
down.
yeah. Yes. I do want to know.
I think we
I do
will.
want to know. So, guys, take care. It was fantastic. Bye-bye.
Not even.
So, guys, what did you think? I got hair in my mouth. I'm telling you, I gotta go do a couple more photographs, and I'm gonna take all this crap off. It's been a long day. It's been a long day. But anyway, what do you think? I don't know. I love talking to groups like this, and I've said it before, and I'm gonna say it again. When you see a group like that, God, it is the exception rather than the rule. Longevity, experience, responsibility, sense of humor, professional. Okay? Let me tell you something. See, those are the hallmarks of a group that if anybody ever thought that, hey, either I want to belong, I want to join a paranormal group, this is the kind of group you should look for. Or you've got something going on and you're looking for a group to contact because you need some help. That is the kind of group that you should be looking for. Okay? They've been around for a really long time. And they take it seriously, but at the same time, they're willing to laugh. Like Let's face it, a possessed gerbil, come on. But like I said, you have to in this type of work. If you're going to do this paranormal work, especially if what you're talking about is demonic cases, you have to. You have to. Doesn't mean you don't take it seriously, but if you don't, you kind of lose your perspective, and basically you stop doing this work. Okay, because it just becomes too overwhelming. All right, and that's another good thing that they were saying, that they got a good group that relies on each other, that everybody else has got somebody else's back. That in and of itself is fantastic, because you know what? A group like that, after a while, they kind of know, they don't even have to be told, hey, do this, or they're aware of what's going on. In other words, just they're kind of, a little bit psychic about each other, because that's what happens when you got a good team. Really important. I'm really impressed with them. Plus, again, they are officially, because when you go to their website, okay, they truthfully are, they are recognized by the Order of Saint Michael. Okay, when it comes to what they call Sacred Order of Saint Michael, the Archangel-Order of Exorcists. That is the organization that is working with them on cases where they think there is some type of demonic influence or possession. Okay. And they made a really good point, by the way, which a lot of people don't realize. When they go out there referred by this organization, they're just there to be the eyes and the ears of the priest, who then takes, and you could see that they kind of get shortchanged, because they kind of expect that they're going to go in there and they're going to be the ones to handle it, and they're not, which is very smart of them, especially if there is some type of demonic influence or entity in there, non-human entity. Okay, it's very smart for them. That's not what they're there for. They can assist later on, okay, if they find that there is, that's exactly what's there. That's another thing. They pointed out something really, really important. Especially if you're talking any type of non-human presence, that's turns out to be what's the root of the problem. That sometimes it takes more than one visit. It takes several of them. Okay, everybody sometimes, this instant gratification society that we live in, is like, wave your wand, ping, okay, you're free of it, whatever, go on your way. No, it depends. Sometimes you have more than one. Sometimes you have a person that actually welcomed it and wants to keep this entity, even though they might be saying in front of their spouse or their mate or whatever, no, I don't. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in the background. So yeah, absolutely, that it takes more than once. Yes. Okay. So I think they were great. Absolutely, I'm going to be contacting them again, because I want to know what happens with this family, which, by the way, I think of what they were saying, where now the husband's getting attacked. That is more common than people think, because basically what it wants to do is it wants to draw attention away from the lady. Okay, either that, or scare her enough to, like, say, stop it, like don't hurt him, don't go after him. If I pull back and I don't let them come back anymore to to do anything, it's almost like a quid pro quo Clarice kind of deal. That happens a lot. Okay, so I want to say this, like I've said other times, despite what you see with Hollywood, okay, possession is not that common. But whenever you do have either influence or the presence of something that's either demonic or non-human, okay, it's not what you see in the movies where it's very theatrical and the acrobatics and all of that. It is the corruption. It is to hurt the person and the family, and to drive a wedge, and to basically make your life unravel. And sometimes that takes weeks, months, years, like what they said about that other couple that ended up getting divorced. Yeah, people get divorced, it has nothing to do with anything demonic or anything like that. But in some cases there it is, because that's ultimately what it wants. It wants destruction. It wants people to be unhappy. And you do that by divide and conquer. So I'm going to follow up with them, and I'll be bringing them on in the future and see what other cases they're going to talk to us about, and also what the outcome, if there's any, because I wouldn't be surprised if that family pulls back for whatever reason, which I'm hoping they don't. So anyway, guys, happy Eclipse Day. Yes, today is, Even though I want to stagger it, I'm going to not be releasing this till closer to Halloween. Yeah, happy Eclipse Day. That's why I was asking about the cryptids, because some of the things that I read about that have to do with with the eclipse were ridiculous, especially the flat Earth. I know there's going to be people out there going, Marlene, I believe there's a flat Earth, and I'll be going, no, I'm open-minded about a lot of things, but flat Earth theory is like not one of them. So anyway, guys, please subscribe to my channel. Please hit the like button. All right, thank you so much for viewing. Catch me on Facebook and on Twitter, which is where I'm doing a lot of live streaming. All right. And also, like I said, my new book's being released the end of September, which is the a haunted history of the Old West Wicked Ladies. And I've got another one already in the works about film noir murders, that kind of stuff. So guys, take care. It's Monday here, of course. Have a fantastic rest of the week. Take care.